For the first time in a year, the Bank of Canada chose not to raise interest rates, but instead paused its policy rate at 4.5%. And honestly, it was about time. With inflation down to 5.9% in January, Bank of Canada will now assess how the market will react to its tight lending for most of 2022. In this video, we're going to talk about whether or not now is the time to buy, will there be bargains, and what you need to know about the Ottawa Spring real estate market coming up. Welcome back and thanks for tuning in. My name is Andrei with the Medow Group and we service Ottawa and surrounding areas, all things real estate. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting that bell notification for upcoming content. And if after this video you might have some questions about the market, there's a link in the description below and you can schedule a call directly with me. The Bank of Canada announced last Wednesday it would hold its key overnight rate at 4.5% after 8 consecutive interest rate increases. And a lot of experts are saying that the pause could last throughout 2023 as the bank now watches the economy respond to its policy moves so far. Just want to quickly show you the Bank of Canada's overnight interest rate versus inflation and kind of where we are. So in blue is the policy rate, and as you can see back in March of 2020, it was super low, went up to 0.25%, and then it started to increase 8 consecutive times. And we are now at 4.5, which was a recent pause by the Bank of Canada. And now we have inflation. And as you could see, it peaked back in June of last year at 8.1%. And as of January, we are at 5.9. So it's a good sign that we're going down. Again, the target for Bank of Canada is 2% inflation, and I think that the next 3 to 6 months will tell us that story. So what do we need to know for the upcoming spring housing market? We've already seen sales increase by 41% from January to February. I'll leave a link to that video above. And this shows us that buyer confidence has already returned, especially for the consumers that have been sitting on the sidelines, patiently waiting for some kind of relief, and they got it. But what also happened from January to February with the increase in the number of transactions is that our inventory fell from 3.8 to 2.7 months. And that means we are not close to a balanced market anymore, but back to a regular seller's market, which is anywhere from 0 to 4 months of inventory. And as of March 12th, the time of recording of this video, our sales so far are at 440 transactions in just 2 weeks. That means so far we are on pace to beat February's numbers, which were 855 transactions for the whole month. And we have 19 days left to go in March. Here are some interesting stats for you. The $500,000 to $600,000 price range remains the most active in terms of how many homes sold, and they account for 18% of all those 440 transactions so far. And that shows us also that this price category is what the average income producer can afford in today's market. And do you know how many homes sold for over $1 million? 8% of total transactions. That is a significant chunk of those stats. Again, showing us that buyers are out shopping at all different price points. So the sales or transactions are increasing, our inventory is decreasing, and we should expect the average price to increase as well, because competition is now back. Now don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that there are no options on the market right now. Out of all the current active listings for Ottawa and surrounding areas today, there are just under 1,000 listings that have been on the market for more than 50 days. That doesn't mean there is anything wrong with them, but that you should look at this as an opportunity for your agent to possibly negotiate on price or any other terms, as the sellers are quite motivated. Remember that a lot of these sellers come from a spoiled market where the demand was super high and they were used to receiving offers over asking price. Bidding wars still exist in our market, but nowhere close to what we saw in our peak market last year. The biggest factor to look out for the spring market is our limited inventory. As buyers are emerging from the sidelines, the competition is also picking up. Data from the Canadian Real Estate Association shows that despite an uptick in new property listings to start the year, inventory is still historically low, and this might give sellers the upper hand going into spring. Multiple offer scenarios are popping up on some attractive properties in Ottawa, and it's happening on well-staged homes in highly desirable neighborhoods, and we're seeing this in both detached and condo options. The results of these bidding wars are nowhere close to what we saw last year, and buyers are still more patient than before, at least for now. Affordability will continue to be a priority for most consumers that are back into the market, and some will have to consider cheaper options. And that means it's possible for condos to outperform detached homes this year as buyers are priced out of those expensive markets and some might even have to relocate to other cities and regions. This month so far, condos are almost at 30% of the total transactions. And remember that to this day and all of 2022, it was the only asset class that held its value throughout all the rate hikes, with the average price being between $400,000 to $500,000. Buyers now also understand that to get into the market, this is a great option to be able to upsize later as your equity will build. The next Bank of Canada rate announcement is scheduled for April 12th, and by then we should have a very clear picture on what to expect for most of the year. Again, this will all depend on how inflation is doing in the next 3 to 6 months. If you have any questions regarding a specific neighborhood or need more information on a type of asset class, please send me a DM. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.